Welcome back to 1.2 Brain Cells Podcast. Hola, hola. I'm
Yay!
Natalie.
Run it.
Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. How are you today, my sweet baby love? What is your weekly catch up?
Week has been chill. Played a new game, finished a new game. Um, that's about it. I'm still keeping up with Buffy, and I text the group chat sporadically how much I freaking hate that spoiler alert, Buffy's dating this freaking vampire called Angel.
Yeah.
He's over 200 years old. She's literally just 16 in high school. And yo, there was this one scene that grossed me out so bad. They finally sleep together after like professing their love for each other. Yeah,
Like,
right. And I'm like, yeah, they did the dude, right? The dude.
we don't do
And I'm
the
like,
do. Okay.
ick. But then, literally right after that fucking happens, Angel turns evil, right? Because it's part of a curse. Like once he reaches like happiness and shit, he like loses his soul to become a dead ass, a mean vampire. Don't give no shits, right? And so the next time he sees Buffy is like the day after they hooked up. Like he disappeared in the middle of the night. So she wakes up alone. I'm like, hey, that sucks. And then we see each other and he's like, oh yeah, I had a good time, kiddo.
Kiddo.
Yeah, and mind
Oh,
you, she is, and that's like, cause again, part of the bit is that Buffy like is always arguing the fact that she's young and she's not a child because she like fights like monsters and shit, and she's like mature and shit. But she's 16, she is a kid, right? And so him throwing that in her face, I'm like, hey, why the fuck are you like who wrote this motherfucking show? It pisses me off. It grosses me out. And like there's so many other shows that like same thing, like old
yeah.
ass man with like a fucking high schooler.
Yeah.
That trope needs to go. That trope needs to go.
I'll say this. I think what makes it gross too is like I know that they're setting it as, oh, he becomes mean because it's a curse. When in reality,
Yeah.
the amount of times that that happens to girls and women where they'll be like, oh, I'll like, I'm so excited. I'm gonna be with so and so. And then homie becomes a dick because once they got what they wanted, they don't want
Yeah.
anything to do with her or,
Yeah.
the girl anymore. So the fact that they're making it like, oh, it's just a curse. No, B, that's reality actually. So
No, exactly. And
Jesus.
I'm like, how are the like you're writing and you're making fun of this weird like fucking pedo trope, but you're clearly aware that this is a pedo trope because you're writing about it, making fun of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it happens. And this show was set what in the 2000s, 90s?
I want to say 90s. Let me just go to confirm. Buffy the
Yeah.
Vampire Slayer.
We see it all the time. We even see it in what's it called? It's not discussed as much, but
Yeah,
I do know how
97. It came out in 97. Hey.
I was gonna say, no, that fits because I was gonna say one other vampire movie slash whatever. In Twilight, even though the fact that he's frozen in time, in reality he's like 100 some years old. So he has 100 some years on Bella. And so whenever he sometimes is like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, she's just 17, you dumb bee. Like, she's literally a child.
Yeah.
Damn. Damn. Ew. I didn't know. Again, I've heard of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I've never
Yeah.
actually seen it or know much about it. I just know people loved it. But I didn't know that they like end up goofing around. I thought this was like a
No,
not a
me no, me neither. Honestly, I know there were romantic plot lines with some of the vampires, but I didn't think Buffy was set in high school because of all the shit that she does. I thought she was like college at least, right? And then we get to high
Mhm.
school, but then it's 6 seasons, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's like time jump. I don't like. I know one of the characters that she has a thing with is a vampire, so I was like, oh, that's gonna be a time jump for sure because no high school. Mm. I was
Brother.
wrong. I was unfortunately wrong. Exactly.
No me gusta. Damn. So how much more do you have until you finish Buffy?
Bro, I'm only on season 2.
Out of six?
Each episode, uh-huh. Each episode is like 40 some minutes long, and they're like 20 some episodes a season. I'm also not like super binging it only because I am getting so fed up with
Yeah.
this weird relationship that just they put so much attention to it and I hate it, right? So it's like If maybe if I'm playing on my Switch and I can kind of pay attention to the TV, I'll do
Yeah.
that. Or if I'm in the middle of something else, I'll put on Buffy. Which sucks because that part aside, it actually is a pretty fun show. She's like real badass. She's like snarky and witty, and then some of the characters are like also really smart and shit.
Hmm.
The female characters are for the most part well written. She does have an asshole of a mom. And then she has this male best friend who I actually fucking hate, right?
Why?
Because in the beginning of the show, he's like crushing on her hard, right?
Okay.
She tells him no. Okay, cool, whatever. You liked her, you shot your shot. She said no. First of all, in that second that she did reject him, he kind of lashed out at her. And he's like, "Oh, you won't like me, but you'll like the dead vampire guy, like the evil guy." Yeah, okay. And she goes, "That's not fair." And she goes,
That's,
and then like
that's
he like took
that's
it back and
nice
he's
guy
like,
shit
"Okay,
right there.
exactly." He's like, "Okay, no, you're right. My bad." He took it back. Cool, whatever. He stayed thirsting after her though.
That
Like
happens a
it's
lot more than we'd like to admit, though.
true, but like no, but like he stayed like also like actively flirting with her. Like, but they're also friends, and so it's weird. And mind you, there's this other girl in the friend group who is also crushing on him. It's weird because she crushes on him, and everyone knows this, while he's crushing on her, and everyone knows that. And so I'm like,
It's a
girl,
love
get some
triangle.
pride and move the fuck. It is, but it's also like one where everyone knows about each other's feelings, so it's weird. Again, not to include the fact that she rejected you, homie, move the fuck on. But then it gets even worse because then he has he has like a situationship with the mean girl, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you don't like you're funny, yes, and you have really nice moments, but you're also oftentimes a shit guy. But whatever,
Mm-hmm.
he gets with the mean girl and the popper girl, and she joins her friend group. And yet there's this one episode that happened where he casts a love potion. He's not a witch. He has a witch cast a love potion because the popular girl rejected like broke up with him and he wanted to get revenge. I'm like, you just can't take rejection, my guy. Like you're an
No.
asshole, right? And so then it backfires and ends up that all the girls end up falling in love with him. And so Buffy, one of the girls, she like is into him now, so she starts to like throw herself on him. She's like, "Oh, like why don't we go back to mine? Like we'll have it, shit like that, right?" And he like hesitates and like thinks about it. He's like, "Wait, no, 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 Buffy. You know what? You say here. I'm gonna go." And he goes again. He hesitated. End of the episode, she's legit like fucking giving him a round of applause for not doing anything. And she go and he goes, "Well, no, like he's like, yeah, I might have hesitated, but like, no, you're my friend." And she goes, "Yeah, I know, but some guys wouldn't even have hesitated." And you make sure nothing happened. And I'm like, you're not applauding bare
The
minimum
bare
here.
minimum. The bare minimum. Hello, like you're my friend. You should be respecting me. And not only that, but again, I know I'm probably looking way too deep into it, but I'm like, none of that's consensual because they were under a potion. So had something
Exactly.
happened, I
Exactly.
don't.
No,
No
exactly.
more.
So there's some really great writing and there's some really bad writing.
Which I think speaks a lot for the time period that it was in, though, too. Because, like, one show that I had a similar, not that much, but like at least
Mm-hmm.
I give you props for trying to push through. Because I remember I had started Sex in the City and I had never seen it, but I decided let me start it. And at first, I really liked it because it felt very modern to the time period that it had come out, right? It was very progressive about these women being like really all about like there's sensuality and whatever
Mm.
and like being girl
That's
bosses at
cool.
like I think late 20s to 30s while being single. But the main character is so insufferable. Like she is the worst. She's the ultimate
Carrie,
um
right?
yeah, she's the
Okay.
ultimate pick me. And so it just continuously got me
That's
mad.
not
And
fun.
so I remember, I think it was season 2, she like did something, well, like somewhat spoiler alert, but um she finally gets a good guy, like he's an actual good guy, loves her and everything, and she cheats on him with the piece of shit that she always was after. And I was like, what are we doing here? I was so mad. I was so mad, and I tend to like just power through and sometimes just wait until to watch the end. I got so mad that I spoiled the ending for myself. I was like, I will not, because I know
You didn't want
once
to
I
keep
watch the
watching.
ending, I won't. And
Uh-huh.
I cannot bring myself, because like people have been like, you should watch it, you're gonna like it. And I'm like, I'm like, does she ever become better? And they're like, no, she just gets worse. I'm like, why would I want to watch it? Like she's
How is
the
this?
worst friend in the world. And I'm like, and then they cut out one of the women that actually was a girl's girl. And like they always try to like, ugh, I've seen so many clips breaking down like all these characters in the show and everything, and I'm like, I'm glad I quit it because I would have just been so pissed
Yeah.
if I go seasons in and whatever. So damn boo. Well, let me know once you end up finishing it or
You know
whatever.
what? You just made a valid point though. If any of the listeners have seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the ending is shit, let me know now. I swear to God, if I get to the finale and I hate it, and then some bitch comments. Oh yeah, that was a bad idea. I don't like it either. I'm gonna hunt you. I'm gonna hunt you down because how yo 6 seasons
Allegedly.
of this. Right? Yeah. No. Wink, wink for sure. No one. Don't waste my time here.
That's so
I'm
funny.
trying
I
to not
was
spoil it for myself, but it's. Ooh,
We'll see. We'll see how it progresses with the next few weeks. I was gonna say,
yeah.
your my weekly catch up is the only kind of like new thing I've been doing, of course, as always, new dance stuff. But the one thing that happened over the weekend that I was so happy is I had mentioned to you guys that I had started a salsa class, right? And so
Yeah.
it's been very intense, and it's very strict in the sense of like you have to really memorize and learn these things and all that. Tell me how we had an exam on Saturday and I was so nervous. Mind you, a lot of my classmates were making fun of me at the fact that I was nervous because they're like, you've been dancing for so many years and you're
Mm.
one of like, I guess I was considered one of the ones that are more advanced compared to the other people that
Okay.
they're
I was getting ready to fight people.
joining class. Yeah, no, you're fine. And I understood what they were saying, but I'm like, nonetheless, like, even though, yes, I've been dancing for some time, there's certain things that are new, which is a heavy chunk of what this class is, where it's still
Right.
challenging. And then because of other IS stuff, I've had to miss some of the classes where I thought I was going to step back. And I passed, so I'm in the next level. And it was funny because they separated us into separate groups. And I was hoping to be in one of the first groups to test because they were like, we're let's say 80 people. They split us up into groups of 5 different groups. And so I was like, damn, I was really hoping to be in the beginning because I had another engagement that I had to get to, but I was
Mm.
in the last group. So the whole time you're just waiting for your turn. Mind you, we're all
Mm.
practicing. But when we got there, everyone in our level or like our grouping passed. But when he said it, because supposedly he was gonna line you up and tell you one by one, you passed, you didn't, you passed, you didn't, you passed, you didn't.
Ooh.
I
That would
know.
hurt. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah, I know. And so we're all there. And so he lined us up and he says something in the beginning, but what I had understood is like, okay, you guys did good. And then he was going into, but he kept going, explaining how the next level is gonna be. And in my head, I'm like, when is he gonna say who's selected? And so he
Right.
goes, any questions? Mind you, he already put his coat on. So me and this other girl that we've become friends in the class, we like, wait, but who passed? And he's like, I said that in the beginning, you all passed. And we were like, oh,
Oh,
yay!
that's amazing.
Yeah, so we all passed in our class, and from what I understood, the majority of the groupings that went, most people passed. I think only like a handful. But their
Okay.
thing is like, if you don't pass to the next level, that doesn't mean like, oh, okay, you're done and you can't do it. No, it just means that they think you should retake the level one more time so you can set your
Mm.
fundamentals really well before moving on to the next level. Like, it's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing. Like, he's like, I've had people that are now instructors within my own team that have had to repeat beginner. Like, it's no biggie.
Mm.
But me being me, I was like, I need to pass in this first time. So yeah, I passed, and now I'm going
Congrats.
into trains, yes, more dance teams. So I'm really happy with that. But yeah,
You
mine
just
was just that little.
reminded me, um, when I was doing my driver's test, like the actual where you're in the car and they have the instructors with you and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't have a car I could use, so I had to rent one from a driving school, right? And
Uh-huh.
the day of, they show up and I meet them there, and there's already another girl with the driving school that came with the driving school to take her tattoo. She was just nerves, right? And I get it, right? But she also looked kind of
Yeah, of
young.
course.
And so the instructor's like, okay, well, I came with her, so technically she should have the right to go first because we had the same time. But and then the girl's like asked me, do you want to go first? And I was like, oh, do you mind? She said, no, you can go first. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go first. And she goes, okay, thank you. And I'm like, yo, this
Damn.
poor girl. And then yeah, so I get out and she's still there and we switch cart and we like give her back the car and everything. She's she's still shaking. I'm like, this poor girl, good luck.
Damn. Do you ever know if she passed or no? You once you found out you
I
left and did the thing.
the second I found out, I passed, I grabbed my papers and I ran. I was like, you ain't getting this shit back.
Yeah. Facts. For me, I was in such a rush to leave because again I had to go somewhere else. That the minute he was like, "Yeah, okay, you all passed, you could go," I like checked out of it. I'm like, "Cool, thanks." And he was like, "Okay, damn." And I was like, "No, I'm sorry, I have to be somewhere." And I like grabbed my shit and
Yeah.
went. But yeah, but anyway, oh, that's cute. What was I gonna say? Okay, so now jumping into the topic of this week.
Hmm.
It essentially we put it on like we called it keeping the job funny, but we're just gonna be talking about some job stuff. You know, what it's like to work within the field that we're both in, how we found out the field that we're doing, and then also like just anything kind of work related, workload, dealing with people because at work, especially depending on your field of work, most of the time people have to interact with others, other times you don't. And ours
Hmm.
specifically on the daily basis, we have to keep it professional. So yeah, I can we're not gonna go full into detail as to like, oh, where we work, whatever, because personal stuff. But Van and I both work in finance. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And we both went for separate things when we were in college together. But we then we ended up studying the same thing when we got the second degree, which was in
Hmm.
accounting. And
Hmm.
so it was funny because despite the fact that we talk every day on the daily, um, for a good hot minute, we both didn't realize we were in the exact same, like, not position, but at least the same area of finance. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until we
Department, I
were
guess.
yeah, and like it wasn't until what I think when we were bitching to each other about something that we were like, "That's
Yeah.
you." Yeah.
No, it was also funny because I don't know what we were doing that day, but I came over to yours and I had brought my laptop because I we came early afternoon, so I still had hours to work and I was somewhat busy today. So I was like, all right, baby, I'll go to yours, but I'm gonna keep working too. And you're like, yeah, no worry with me too.
Hmm.
And so I'm pulling out my laptop and she sees like shit that I'm doing. She's like, wait a minute, do you do this? And you gotta do
Yeah.
that and this and this. And I was like, yeah, how do you know? And she goes, well, again, not the same job, but she does an extension of it.
Yeah.
And that's again, this is like a year, almost two maybe, of us having both these jobs.
Yeah.
No fucking
Yeah.
clue.
And mind you, we had talked about other job stuff, but we just never
Yeah,
clicked that we were again within the same department of or like subsection of finance. And
yeah,
we've continued to be in the same area. So there's a lot of the time that we'll be talking about different things, which is I think it's kind of cute because we can, relate to each other's issues. Not
we
that we
understand
wouldn't
the
have been able
complaints.
to. Huh?
We understand each other's complaints.
Exactly. And again, not like we wouldn't have been able to, because for example, Noel works in something else. Sarah and Dama are the people that I'm always interacting with that work in fully other fields, but nonetheless
Mhm.
you can like try and understand. But being able to talk about it's made our bitching to each other much more easier because again, we understand the process with the other person.
Yeah,
So
you can use the
it's been good.
lingo. But it's like that meme that you see. It's like you're not really best friends unless you have no clue what that bitch doing.
Yeah. 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 After that
Because
time that
I still can't tell you what Manny and Minsu do. And the only reason I know what
computer
Noel
stuff.
does is because she sends exactly. That's all I can answer. The reason
Yeah.
you know what Noel does because she gives so many like specific scenarios of what she has to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, I did find out exactly what people do after that conversation with us because I was like, I need to find out what these bees do. And so I hit up Sarah. And the funny thing enough with Sarah, she works in engineering. And so she was working on a specific project that essentially one of the things that she was working on, she's no longer there, but one of the things
Okay.
she was working on is she was working on a medical device where in surgery she had to help the surgeons like put it in and whatever. And I'm like,
Mm.
so you a doctor? What I'm understanding is you a doctor because you in the operation room helping these people. And she's like, that's not how it works. I'm like, I have a doctor bestie. I love that. And so
Fact.
granted, I
She
know
needs
it's
to
like
add MD to her title.
absolutely, as she should. And then same with Dom, like in her line of field, I know it always had to do like with telecommunications and whatever. So I'm like, so you
Yeah.
directing the show? Cool. I'm friends with a director. And so she's like, no, you goose. And so
No,
nonetheless,
my favorite bit is the company that how that Dawn works for is part of a larger corporation, and your
right?
mom
And
was
then
just
like,
like, "Oh, she works for this big ass corporation."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like that,
essentially
there's some levels away from it though.
she's mad far. And then and it's not the first time because again, being the Dom is in that line of work, she
Hmm.
worked for another company that again is a sub company to the bigger one. My mom would also go ahead and be like, she's actually on this channel. And
Yeah.
my I had one uncle, he's like, I've never seen her in front of the camera. And my mom's like, you dumb bee, she's directing from behind. And I'm like, she's nowhere near none of that. Like she is, but she isn't. Like I understand what you're
Right.
saying, but no. And so yeah, I guess I picked that up from my mom because I started doing
No,
that with
yes,
her,
you guys love to exaggerate.
of course. And so yeah, yeah, but it's all gooch. I was gonna say, given our so we both work hybrid. Well, you work fully remote, but I work
Correct.
a hybrid schedule. And
Yes.
for my first job was hybrid. This now job is also hybrid. And then the
Mm-hmm.
one prior in between those two was fully in office. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, despite the fact that I do work. I know nowadays I work like I do work a lot. Like it's
Uh-huh.
not even like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I work a lot and then no, no, no. I actually do work a lot. But in that first company, when we found out that we were like in the same thing, girl, I worked hard, but the amount of times that I be chilling with a hybrid schedule, but it
Yeah.
depended on the season, like on the
No, for sure.
workload.
There's
Like
definitely downtimes to our schedules in our field.
yeah, 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 yeah. And again, in previous like the last two jobs, the first job was it was always busy, right? Because the although it was in finance, the specific company where its industry was something that it was always busy, because it
Mm,
had to do with travel. So like people are traveling
right.
nonstop. So that was always going. This company and the previous one were definitely they have their seasons because they
Mm,
both have to deal with food. And I remember in the second one having to deal with like when we had crazy workload versus
yeah.
having a more chill days. And I can say this now because I'm no longer there. I would be editing podcast episodes, bro. Like,
Yeah.
like I would fill in my time with that or like planning if we had trips and stuff. However, when it was busy, I couldn't even get up for a coffee. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like this. I don't like them heavy loads, bro.
Yeah. That was literally like last week I had an influx of work to do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it was like 5 o'clock before I even fucking knew it, right? I literally went broke for lunch, put my headphones on, and next thing it was 5, right? And now
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a part where it's just dead right now. It's just deader than dead, and I didn't even look at my screen all like probably in the morning to like check emails, and then rest of the day I'm looking on. Don't even know what time I did today. But then I know I'm gonna the next period that's coming part where same thing is gonna be back to like workload. It's just gonna be a bitch again, and it's gonna the day's over for I know it. I'm still not done.
Damn. For me, with this current job, I think it's depending on how I keep up with my week. But on a week
Hmm.
to week basis, I do feel like I am always working. Month end close is
Hmm.
usually very busy for us. In my previous company, it was crazy. Like month end close was insane every time. Like it
Yeah.
was super crazy. Versus here in maybe like in the first few months that I was there, given that we were a bit more short staffed, it was crazy.
Mm.
Nowadays, it's much more calmer because again, we're already like, for example, this was month end, like between end of last week and beginning of this week.
Same.
But already the week prior, I'm like, okay, I know month end is coming, so I started working on stuff a little more
Exactly.
to make sure that like I was gooch. And so this place has a bit more of a like it's more established where it's not that chaotic because we've
Hmm.
already have an ongoing system. Versus my
That's
previous
good
ones,
then.
yeah, every month end was insane, and I'm just like, what are we doing now? But it's been
Yeah.
good. I was gonna ask you because again, we've complained to each other quite a lot. Would you say you have more issues working with people internally or with the vendors that you sometimes have to deal with?
Um, for the most part, it's like my own internal coworkers that are driving me up the wall, but only because it's an everyday thing where it's a whole bunch of minor things with my actual coworkers, right? Where it's just
Mhm.
like a lot of repetition. I'm like, this is our policy. I can't do it. You know this, right? It's a lot of that
We
thing.
go through this
But then
every time.
every time I'll re-explain to you, man, but come on. Versus vendors, I take it back. It's the vendors. It's the vendors that piss me off the most because I'm like, they want to complain to me. And I'm like, homie, I asked you for this one thing and I cannot give you what you want until you fill your thing out. Like, I need you, like, and then some of them literally have taken like 4 6 months to complete what I needed them to do before
Yeah.
I can then go ahead and help like get their finances in order.
Yeah.
And the whole time they're like, okay, well, what's the update? Per my last email, you need to do this. And they're like, why is this taking so long? It's not even that hard. Like, just sort out the payments. And I'm like,
It's like,
per
I
our
know it's
original
not that
email.
hard.
And it's such a pain. And then same like some people don't. Again, it's not like a coworker, so it's I'm remote, but I have my own coworker that like he's in the office and he'll like go to if I need something done in person, he'll go handle it for me, or vice or not my versa. I don't talk to anyone. But we can't do that with the vendors. It's really just waiting on them forever, whenever they feel like coming around to it. And at some point, I'm like, you know what? You just get paid, homie. I don't know what else to tell you. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's vendors that are the biggest pain.
Yeah, I'd say for me in the past, even now, I would
Hmm.
say dealing with people internally is a bit more difficult because with the company that I work for, we've been working with a lot of different teams, which I think you can say as well. But like
Mm-hmm.
it would be so annoying because in at least I don't know if you have this experience, but my specific department, we always get blamed for whatever. It's like, oh, this is going on because
Mm.
so this department didn't do it. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, but let's look back to as to why I didn't do it. Oh, I didn't do it
Uh-huh.
because you didn't answer my question, right? And
Uh-huh.
so how many times do I gotta press you about something before, we get to where we need to get to? And so I
That's
feel like for
fair.
me, it's been as long as I have a good management where the manager will come and check in, like, hey, listen, I got this complaint. What is the situation with this? And then I'll be like, listen, I had tried to address it like this, like that,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I CC'd whoever I need to CC and nothing's happening. And then I'll have them be like, oh, okay, cool. Mind you, my first job, my current job and my last one were very like they'll hear me out or hear the rest of our team out
Okay.
before quickly putting the blame. My previous, like, which again it was slightly smaller but still big, he was phenomenal because he would always come and check in. He's like, this is what you talked to me about so and so this day, right? And I'm like, yeah. And
Okay.
he'd be like, cool, so this is gonna be your like plan of attack or like how we're gonna address it, where you like one specific scenario was like there was this one guy that I had to work with all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that I was put to work with him because I understood the system and how we went about things really well, he never took my word of advice or my
Ah.
like, oh, we should do it like this. He'd always like, I don't know if that's so sure. And then again, he'd go to my boss to look for reference, and my boss would be like, oh, why don't you do it like this? And it would be exactly what I said because again, right? And so this was
Yeah.
happening on and on. And I remember I went and I complained to him. I'm like, I don't know how else to say things because he's not listening to me. And then I feel like he's wasting everyone's time because had he just listened to me in the beginning, whatever. So the moment arised again. And I remember my manager was like, listen, we're going to hop on a call and I'm going to ask, oh, we should do this, this, and this. And you're going to mention, oh, yeah, I said this. And I'm going to revert back to, well, why aren't you listening to her? That's why we did. And we
Perfect.
did.
Yeah.
I never had that issue again. And I was like, he
Perfect.
what's it called? The other yesterday I learned clock that. There you go. Apparently this is clock that. Okay.
Okay.
I thought this was like, oh, they ate or like, yes. No, that's not yes. This is clock it. And I'm like,
Okay.
the youth. But anyway,
Yeah, I about to say
oh,
I don't because I know you snap when someone's you know what? Let's not even. We're gonna show our age.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'd be like, yes, thank you. This current job, again, we're a bigger team, so we rely a little bit more on each other.
Mm,
And we did have like a situation where our bigger boss, because right now we don't really have a manager, quote unquote, but we have the bigger
okay.
boss. She like did come at us hard, but not really. But then she was like, "No, wait, I understand what you guys are saying. I'm sorry, you have been saying this." And so then she reverted it back. But she's also
So,
very
so
expressive, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But she made it a bigger deal. And we're like, "Oh no, you're gonna make us sound bad. No, it's okay. Like, thanks for defending us, Mama Bear, but also like tone it back. We don't gotta rip anyone's arms off." Like, it was really funny.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
that's
but
cute though.
yeah, for me it's usually just
I
more.
no, I'm thankfully my boss um homie got bigger shit to deal with, right? And so I'm like pretty low on the I have no authority actually. Because am I saying pretty low? I am low. I'm bottom level authority here. But I am the one that like has I need to be tagged on everything essentially. And so when something goes amiss, because they know I need to have a hand in it, to be like, so Vanessa, what's like the ETA on this, or what's the process like? Where are we on this?
Yeah.
And so the few times something goes like I don't know, let's see something to get paid, right? I
Yeah.
have the history of it. And so for the most part, people leave me in my word. But then some people want to be like more difficult about it, but like, okay, but like why? Or like what can we do? And like moments where my answer wasn't final for them and then they want to bring in my boss.
Yeah.
My boss doesn't fucking answer because he's like, she knows I don't.
He's insert the meme for Cardi B, like,
Yeah,
hello.
exactly. Or like they'll tag because it's just my boss, and then there's my coworker who is like the interim between me and my boss for the most part since he is in
Hmm.
office. And so
Yeah.
sometimes they'll like elevate it to him and not my actual boss, but then he'll just message me and he'll be like, what's happening? Because that guy, he maybe get like tagged in an email, but he has too many emails to deal with him. So he goes back to me
Yeah.
to be like, what? Explain it to me. And so I'm gonna be like, I said this, they need that, we can't because of this. And then be
Yeah.
like, I see. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I was gonna say, yeah, no, it definitely helps having that either coworker or teammate that does that because my
Yeah.
current like we're coworkers, but like quote unquote, she's my supervisor, but not really because we work alongside. It's weird. It's a weird dynamic, but nonetheless,
Okay.
it's we get along really well because I remember we had a meeting with some of the higher ups where they're like, we want to make sure you guys are constant, like there's constant communication and whatever. Mind you, me and her looked at each other we're like, we message all day on every day. Like we're constantly
Uh-huh.
like, hey, listen, I'm working on this. Oh, did you address it? Okay, cool. No, don't worry. Hey, listen,
Uh-huh.
I addressed this like all the time. So I remember in one of the meetings that they were mentioning, like, oh, make sure you guys are aligned. I was like, I'm not too sure how transparent everything is for you guys, but we are communicating all day, every day. Granted,
Word.
not
This
too
is
much
on
because
lock.
right. And I'm like, granted, we're still doing our work. It's not like we're chatting all day, but at least there is constant communication. We're both on the same page of everything. And I'm like, you can
Yeah.
agree, right? So she was like, oh, definitely. And it was great. And I was gonna say now, kind of bringing that up, I also feel sometimes the amount of times that I like me podcast me or me talking to you guys so different than like answer email me or like respond in a meeting me where like everything's like the correct corporate lingo. Well, in my head
Yeah.
all the time I'm like my ghetto side wants to come out because I'm like you pissing me off, but I have to say it professionally. Like, oh,
Yeah, man. That shit
all
tears
the
me up
time.
to Wazoo. And then every once in a while, I don't know about you, but I have this one guy that works in company with me. He's like the biggest like white dude you can picture, right? So
Okay.
his replies will be
Finance
like
me.
short and quick. He's like my first. I don't know if I told you once, but in an email addressed to like he sent it out to me and then two other guys they were working with. He goes, "My guys," and I'm like, "I am a lady, sir. There is no my guys." And
Soy
mind
una
you, the
dama,
question
señor.
the question wasn't directed towards me specifically, but I was the one that was going to resolve it anyway. So worst opening ever. But his is always like okay thanks or like where are we like sweet like direct and to the point.
Simple. Mhm.
And mind you, I was like, hello, how are you? Like, it's so fucking long. And sometimes I do. I was like, you know what? I'm going to reply just like he does. I don't give a damn. If it doesn't bother me, it's not going to bother when I do it every once in a while. As I've had to take that mentality. I'll do
I
your
I
basic
will
shit.
I will say I know that, and I've heard this, and I can attest to it that as
Mhm.
women, we tend to be more careful of how we express or come across in emails because we don't want to come off as bitch ears, like with an attitude. Versus a lot
Huh.
of times, certain men or most men don't care, like they're just saying it because they're like, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
get whatever across, and they'll see it across whatever position, across whatever. I'll constantly see that kind of like separation. But in my previous job, I used to get so mad because one, people used to misspell my name all the time, mind you. In my
Mm.
head, I'm like, you had to I had to take off my glasses. You had to type in the beginning of my name to see the email come up. And in my last two places, my
Yeah.
full name was on there. And then not only that, if you're responding to an email, you see my signature, fam. So I just kept getting more and more annoyed. But this one was with a vendor specifically. And I was like, so I started misspelling their name. And then they
Oh, I
started
love
getting it
that.
correct. And my
Look at
director came
that.
to me. Yeah, and my director came to me. He's like, have you been misspelling this thing? Like, because it'll be off by one letter, right? The same way that they would do to me. Like, they'd be off. I've gotten called Natalia so many times, and I can't stand when people call me Natalia. I'm like, I'm not. No, that's not my name, fool. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with the name, but that's not my name.
Yeah, no,
And so,
definitely.
I used to. There was this one person called Hugo, and I would put hug. I just put hug, whatever. Homie never did it again. And I remember my director came to me. He was like, so are you like mistyping or whatever? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My thingy just autocorrects. Like, right? Because I know if I hit him with the, oh, I did this, he's like,
For
don't be,
sure.
come on, let's be grown ups
No, for
about this.
sure.
But at the same time, I'm like, why do I have to be the grown up? Like, I mean, yes, I have to be the grown up, but at the same time, like, what are we doing here? But yeah,
Yeah.
no, no, no.
Mine is frustrating because mine gets misspelled all the time. But
Yeah.
also at the same time, I know for a fact autocorrect changes it because my name just has the one S for the ones that don't know. Right. But I know for a fact autocorrect constantly will always just change it to the two S's anyways. And I know most of these people replying, like I see it from my iPhone, right? And so I don't get mad, but I'm like, how long have I been working here?
You're
And
like,
he's
I'm
still
not
pulling
mad,
me
I'm
down.
disappointed.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, yo, how long have we been here? And you giving me two S's still. Get the you anyways.
Yeah,
Um
no, happens
you
all the
actually
time.
you reminded me though of in the whole like how to say like how to be you have to be the mature ones often. There's actually
Hmm.
this one time and while it sucked, like some part of me was also kinda happy because like suck it men, right? This guy I don't have much contact with this one guy, but he like every once in a while I like have they have to work I have to work with him.
Hmm.
And he for the most part is like it's again like really direct and like it comes off authoritative in his emails all the time. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we need to have this done by whatever time, right? Or we need this by whatever, right? And so in this one particular email, he was like in direct contact with one of the vendors, like we needed something from the vendors. And like they were delayed or something. I don't remember because that wasn't the original email thread. My coworker
Yeah.
knew about it afterwards. Anyways, it got to one of those where he sent and he was like, oh, okay, have this done by whatever time he gave to the vendor. And that was the second
Hmm.
time that he did it. And so I go randomly. I remember this was something I was supposed to do, and but I still didn't have the things to get it done. And so I go to my coworker because he was in more contact with them, and I was like, "Hey, like, where are we on this vendor? Like, did that finish getting set it up so I can like start to, like the whole payment process?" And he goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
actually, that fell through." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, that was a big thing." He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna forward you the email." And I see the email, and I see like the like the emails from this other coworker, the one that was being authoritative and everything and like being demanding. And the
Hmm.
vendor was like, so we don't appreciate like the tone you've been taking with us and like you're demanding for timelines that are hard to meet. So we're not gonna be continuing business with you.
Oh no.
Bro, I
Not
go
the
back to my
consequences of my
coworker and I go,
actions.
bro, yeah. I was like, oh my God. And he goes, yeah, so you can just forget about it. I don't know what's gonna happen with them, but on your end, you're good. Don't worry about it. And I go, okay, bet. And I'm like, it's funny because I see because like the final like I don't know if the final one, but where he informed me the guy the authoritative coworker was like, oh like I'm so sorry it came off that way. Like what can we like let's hop on a call and like remedy this. That was the
They were
last few
done.
months on the chain, right? But I can't imagine they're done because like I said, I did not come back to this vendor on any work.
Damn. That's crazy. The only thing that's happened similarly, but it didn't fall through, was
Mm-hmm.
in my previous company we worked with a lot of international vendors because we were buying a lot of products. And so obviously I was in the finance kind of like department and stuff, or in the
Mm-hmm.
more I don't want to say higher up positions, but at least in our specific unit, I was the only one that spoke Spanish. That
Oh,
was in warehouse. Everyone in warehouse really spoke Spanish, but in the actual like administrative offices, I was the only one that spoke Spanish. Um,
okay.
and so obviously all the Spanish vendors are coming to me. Great, cool. Funny enough though, I've spoken Spanish since I was a kid. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would like to safely say I can speak Spanish. I'm very fluent. But I had not realized that obviously when you're speaking Spanish at home, you're speaking your day to
Yeah.
day, you're speaking whatever. Actual business words, I did not know, but it was
Mm-hmm.
cool because I started learning about it, right? And
Yeah.
so, and I was like, okay, we need it. And I would Google Translate before I responded in an email. And I
I
would
do
always
that too,
respond.
bro.
Yeah, the majority of the time, emails were always in English because, they obviously had their English
Yeah, everyone needs to
representative.
see
And
it.
right, everyone should be able to translate it. But in a lot of the calls, because they would clock immediately that I was in Spanish, they would switch to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, we need to make sure I sound like, because I didn't want to sound like a yo no sabo. Like we do not want that. But anyway, there was a specific company that was set actually in Peru. And so I was excited to work with them. But a problem that was going on is because I had to work with the buyers that are the actual ones like going through making these orders and stuff. Um, they there was a issue where he sent me all the documentation,
Mm-hmm.
but something had not been filled out correctly. So I had to go back to the buyer and be like, hey, listen, I need them to fix this. And he communicated that with them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had let him know. I guess, I don't know if he did follow through, not follow through, or whatever, but like a week, like I gave it, like I sent it to him on Monday. Friday followed up, nothing. Come next week,
Mm-hmm.
nothing, right? And so I was following up, but I had done my part. But I had seen that we were coming close to the point where they were expecting payment. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to my director because my director, the one thing that while I understood, I was always like, that's not fair because at the end of the day, we should all be playing our part. He was very big as like, okay, you see someone not doing what they're supposed to, then you take it upon yourself because at the end of the day, we want to have these good relationships with the vendors, right? And
I think the fuck not.
while I understood that, I always used to also tell him like, I will do my best always, but at the same time, if I keep coming, like saving someone else,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's not going to get recognized. It does not get recognized at
Yeah.
corporate. We all are aware of this. But anyway, so I saw, and so I went personally to the person that had a handle. I'm like, hey, listen, this is coming up, and I don't want this to get past. Like, what can we do? And he was like, oh, no, the reason why I haven't been able to get a response is that they only speak Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. And I'm staring at this man in his face because he knew I spoke Spanish. And I'm like, why wasn't that communicated prior? Because again, I speak Spanish. I could have helped you with
Yeah.
this, you know? And so he was just kind of like, whatever about it. So I ended up, like, I talked to my director. I'm like, I'm going to because we could contact the vendors directly, but we will always try to take the step before, like, with their representative. So I contacted them and they were so happy because they were like, we've been trying to get, like something, and thank you
Oh
so
yeah.
much, and blah, blah, blah. And so, I told them, oh yeah, I wouldn't say we got personal, but at least they came to find out that I was also Peruvian. So there was
Mm-hmm.
like really cool contact. And so for a lot of the time, I also always made sure my Hispanic vendors were paid on time. I'm like, we ain't taking long for y'all. We gonna make sure everything's set and ready for you, Um, and then fast forward a few months, right? Everything's going well. We're making sure they're getting payment. And if anything was ever delayed, it was because it wasn't communicated, but then we would
Mm-hmm.
get that shit locked in, right? I remember that I was sitting in my office because that was when I had my little office. And for the most part, I would dress either nice, like business casual, or sometimes I would go kind of like not crazy, but just mad casual because that place was definitely a casual spot. Luckily,
Mhm.
that was the day that I was dressed nicely, and it was more closer to the business than the business casual. I don't know. I was feeling myself that day, and I see that said buyer is coming up with some dude,
Mhm.
and he's like all shit because me and him did not have like the best relationship because again it was just constant miscommunication, and I'm like, what
Okay.
are we doing here, bro? Right? And so he comes up all sheepishly and he's like, oh yeah, this is this department, right? She works in this department. And the guy goes, pause, you're so like, he goes by my full name. He goes, you're so and so. And I'm like, I am. And so I get up right to say hello because again in my head I'm like, oh, we're meeting someone, we gotta. I didn't know if it was who it was. I just know they're
Uh-huh.
for some reason we're up here. And
Yeah.
he goes, oh, I own this company. And I go, oh my goodness, hello. And so like whatever. And homeboy switched to Spanish like this, bro. Like el dueño. And
Yeah.
so he's talking to me. He's like, oh, es un gusto conocerte. So like inspiring to see one of our people in like a good position and to see that you're doing so well. He's like, I'm gonna be honest with you. We only kept business because we were able to talk to someone that understood what we needed and blah 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 blah. And so he's saying all this in Spanish, right? And I go, oh my gosh, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And I felt bad because I normally try always to stick to English, unless I'm talking something personal with a coworker, because I don't want the other people to feel that way. But in that specific company, so many people spoke another language that was not
Mhm.
English or Spanish, and they would not care. They would right in there in front of you
Mm.
just talking their language. But I didn't. I was like, I don't care. Do you? So anyway, we're chit
Word.
chatting, and then he turns to him and goes in English. He's like, you should count your blessings at the fact that she's working with you guys because I wanted to end business day 2 into communicating with y'all. And
There
so
you
he
go.
goes, oh, okay, cool. And
Nice.
he's like, where's her boss? I want to talk to her boss too. And so I go, oh yeah, my boss is, across the hall, blah, blah, blah. And so whatever, they go and meet him. And in my head, I was like, yeah, recognition. And then my
Yeah,
director
badass.
came. Yeah, I know.
Saving the
And
day
so I
quite
remember,
literally.
yeah, and I remember my director coming to me. He's like, I knew I picked a good one. He's like, I'm glad you took that initiative. And he's like, and whatever. And I was like, oh, thanks. And it just worked out. And I was just like, guys, again, in my head, while I understand, like, okay, everyone should do their responsibility. In the one little moment
Mhm.
that I gave the extra, I was like, I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness, that's funny, Bill. I was gonna say, do you have any closing thoughts into business or work stuff? I mean, there's so many things we could talk, but at the same time, while we can talk about so many stuff, business stuff, we're also trying to keep it as vague as we can because at the end of the day, we're not trying to
Yeah.
like talk about
Yeah.
whatever place we're at.
No, very true. But nah, man. I'm pretty sure I mentioned to you guys all the damn times. But being fully remote, this job in general, this job has made me spoiled, right? Because now being fully remote, I can't picture going back to an office. Like not even hybrid. Like I get the heebie-jeebies to think about it, right? And then the second part, having such a like laid back boss that like trust me to just do my own thing.
That
Oh my
doesn't
god, I
micromanage.
never take it exactly. I never take it for granted because when I had a part-time job in when I went to college and I was
Yeah.
working at the spa, I did have a micromanager and it was awful. But in my mind, I was like, it is what it is. I better get used to
Yeah.
this now when it's not that important. So that later, because I was expecting like I know that it was like not that uncommon to have
How
micromanagers in
usually
the
is in
office and
corporate.
shit,
Yeah.
right? And so I did get accustomed to it, right? And it was like so much easier, like just let it slide down my back and shit. But now that I have my current boss, and I know what it is to have a relaxed boss and have someone that trusts you to do your damn work. When I hear you guys complain about your bosses, or like sometimes like they want to come in and like not step on your toes or anything, but like they want to like
But yeah.
impede on some of what you're doing, I'm like, oh god, I couldn't. I would my face would give it like I can't control my face.
Yeah.
I'd be walking around with that in the office if my boss tries to come in and be like, so like why are you don't get the fuck away from me with your whys and just let me
That's
work.
hilarious.
But I know you
Yeah,
can't. I know that's not the case.
that's
Yeah,
funny.
that was
I was gonna say I would um I did get used to going from hybrid to fully in office.
mhm,
Um I would dread it sometimes. Like I'd be like, bro, every day. It was like in my head again, I genuinely liked that last job a lot.
yeah.
Like a lot, a lot. But my one thing, I was like, damn, I have to be there every day. Now with this current job,
Yeah.
I don't think I will ever be able to go back to fully in office after this current role, because this role, like, I don't know, bro. It's definitely, I don't know if I can safely say, oh, this is the dream job, but it's very much looking it. Like,
Hmm.
my only ever complaints are things that I'm like, you're gonna find that anywhere, because
Hmm.
like the good so much surpasses the bad. And with the
Hmm.
days, again, because my hybrid schedule works different from most hybrid schedules. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily depending on a weekly basis, but the days that I do have to go in, I don't even look at them as like. Also, I do also know that this comes into my more sociable part, like my more
Right.
extroverted selfness. But I look forward. I'm like, we're gonna go to the office today. But again, that's because of how the schedule works. I feel like if it were more
Right.
all the time, I'd be like, okay, fine,
Yeah, right.
let's do
Because
this.
you have some say and like pick and choose of the days that you go in, right? It's not a set
The
schedule that everyone
majority.
needs to follow.
I
Right.
Yeah, I just
That's
don't
what
have the
because
same
that
autonomy.
helps give you a positive attitude because like you these are days you're choosing to come in. It's like you make it around your schedule. So that's great
Yeah,
versus like, oh, you have to this and this day.
yeah,
Which I'm like, oh, see that goes back into more that don't tell me what the fuck to do.
yeah. No, no,
Yeah.
no. I definitely
I,
will. I
listen,
was
I'm a
gonna
great
say,
employee, but I have come to terms that authoritative figures don't ah like I can. I understand that I am not the boss of anything, right? But at the same time, leave me the fuck alone.
that's funny. I was gonna say, we were talking about this. I don't know with who, but I know it was dance related, talking about like authoritative stuff. That
Hmm.
the only place that I'm like, tell me exactly what you want me to do is, well, not the only place, but the in the common world is dance, because like the current
Okay.
school, salsa school that I'm into, there or I'm
Right.
in, they're known to, they have a reputation for a reason. And
Okay.
so a lot of people don't like the teacher's style of teaching, because
Ah.
it's very authoritative, very like, I'm the one that knows most and you must go
Okay.
with what I'm saying.
Okay.
But even in the 3 months that I've been in, I'm like, I get it. I'm like, listen, yes, I think there's certain
Yeah.
things you can do, but all in all, I don't. Yes, sir. Like, oh yeah, oh okay, yep, you're right. As you
Okay.
said, and it's one of the only
See,
places.
if
And
it's
again,
a case where I'm like paying someone to teach me, or like I have zero knowledge in this
yeah,
whatever it is, that's when I will shut the fuck up and listen to what you
yeah,
say, right? Because I'm there for a fucking reason, or I have nothing. I don't know shit, right? I can admit when I don't know shit, but when I know for a fact I can be held like left alone to be responsible and shit, that's where I'm like, I don't need you. You can
yeah.
go.
And the reason why I say this goes into dance, not just the school, is because, for
Hmm.
example, as in dance, there's what's called a lead and a follow, meaning the person that's leading the dance and the person that's following
Hmm.
it. I'm a follow through and through. Um, when you got a good lead, I don't even question, like, you tell me what I gotta do. The only times that I'll question is when there's the leads, which again goes into, like, for example, work, where I'm like, you actually don't know. And so now you're trying to tell me, like, while I understand I'm a follow, at the end of the day, if you're wrong, you're wrong. Um,
Where
but in work, it's a bit more like a give and take. I'm like, okay, I will listen. Like, as long as, like, if you're giving me direction and it's definitely something that makes sense, go off. But I
hmm.
don't like you said, if you're coming in to tell me what to do when I'm already doing what I'm supposed to do, I've been doing what
Hmm.
I'm supposed to do. Why are you questioning? Now, if it's like, let's make it more efficient, for sure. But if your let's make it efficient isn't making anything efficient,
Oh god, how many times does that happen?
yeah.
There's like
Luckily,
so often they want to change like procedures how we do things, and I'm like, but why? Like, do they not realize like all the other steps they're creating, and like when you can work will like complain about it, and they're like, nope, and then shit will happen, and like it creates like a backup, and then my coach like, okay, so we're actually gonna revert back to how we were doing it because they realized this was a mess, and I'm like,
yeah,
amen.
yeah, yeah. There's been times that I've like, again, been in that situation that I've been like, you know what? we gonna fuck around and find out. You
Yeah,
wanna go?
yeah,
Let's fine. Let's do what you wanna
yeah.
do,
There's
and
some
then when
moments where
shit
like,
hits the
yeah,
fan, you're gonna
yeah,
learn the hard way.
exactly.
You wanna learn the hard way? Let's go the hard way,
You know
and then
what? Yeah, sure, we'll do it with your way. Let's see what happens.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Who knows? I don't know. We'll
Oh,
find out.
oh, no, and that hasn't happened in this company, but in the previous one with the guy that would never listen to me, the amount of
Uh-huh.
times that I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. I'm not gonna say you're right
Yeah,
because you're not, but I'll be like,
correct.
let's go,
Yeah,
let's go,
we,
let's
we
do
could
it.
try that for sure. Oh
And
my
the
god,
amount of
man,
times that it
it
would
just
come
yeah,
back.
it went wrong. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Oh my god, wait, no, I thought.
I said that, didn't I? Oh, but what do I know? I'm just a woman, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a fun place to end it. But what was I gonna say? That being said, if you guys have gone through any crazy stuff, no matter your line of work, because I feel like anywhere, especially also
Work
because
is
if you
work,
have to
bro.
deal with people, if you have to
Yeah.
deal with people, which is in any job, you probably have a lot of cases. Write them down in the comments. Tell us your stories. If you have any other work topics that you think we should address that we might be able to talk about, also send us a message. Just to remind you guys, we drop an episode every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, any streaming platform you think we're on, we're most likely on there. And if you want to, like I said, drop a comment, drop a message, anything, you can find us on TikTok and on Spotify. No, I'm sorry. Well, yes, on Spotify, but on TikTok and on Instagram at 1.2 brain cells _ official. Messages on there or privately as well if you want to be a guest star. And as long as Vane, Noel, and myself are in agreement, you're more than welcome. With that being said, toodle-loodle,
Totally.
hugs and kisses.
Not from me.
Bye.
Bye.